Brontosaurus ribs. I call these Brontosaurus ribs from the Fred Flintstone cartoon series back in the 60s and 70s because of the big rack of ribs that they put on Fred's car, and it's so big that it causes the car to flip over. But basically what this is, what these are uncut short ribs. Some people call them long ribs, but I asked my butcher and they didn't know what I was talking about, long ribs. So one of the butchers says, maybe you mean uncut short ribs. For short ribs, they would cut these in half, and then they would cut them like that into individual ribs, and then that's the way you would cook them. But I asked them for the, I found out that it's uncut short ribs. And as you can see, there's a lot of meat on these babies. And that's exactly what I want, because most of the beef ribs that you see, the packs, the vacuum packs, the full racks, they don't have a lot of meat on them, really. I mean, they're still pretty tasty, but they don't have a lot of meat on them. So this is 3.5 pounds of beef ribs, uncut short ribs, and they really weren't very expensive. This 3.5 pounds was just under $10, and there's 4 ribs. This will easily feed 4 people. Each person gets a rib because that's a lot of meat. And I've gone ahead and removed the membrane from the rib side. Just use a butter knife, go up underneath of it, lift it up, and then take a paper towel and then just peel it right off. That way the rub mixture will be able to penetrate in. It would not be able to penetrate that with that membrane. So what I've got here is just a basic barbecue rub. I like to use this one. You could use any commercial brand of barbecue rub. There's a number of really good ones out there. This one's really good because it's relatively inexpensive, and I have most of the ingredients around. It's just black pepper, a little bit of cayenne pepper, some chili powder, some paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, and the fresh ground black pepper is what you want to go with. And I believe this one might have some celery salt in it, because I use this for pork ribs as well. It's really good for pork ribs. So I'm just going to liberally add this to the ribs. So I've got the top. I want to get a little bit on the sides here, because there's a lot of meat here. I want it to all get some of that rub. There we go. And just kind of push that up. So let me get this in a zip top bag and put it in the refrigerator, and then we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, smoker's warming up. I got my beans here. I ended up using a half a pound of the beans, because once I soaked them overnight, and once you soak them, they really swell up, and I wanted to use one of these disposable aluminum pans to do this in, and I didn't have a bigger one, so I'm cutting everything in half. So here I have the half pound of soaked beans and 1 diced up jalapeno pepper, and I've got about a quarter pound of chopped up pork fat, or salt pork. And then I've got a 15-ounce can of petite diced tomatoes. This is a really good brand. This Hunt's 100% natural. I really like these tomatoes. So I'm just going to put this in, juice and all, because you want that extra liquid. And I'm only going to use this half of a can, because like I said, I'm cutting this whole thing in half. Those tomatoes smell great. Let's stir that up a little bit. And then I'm going to add a quarter of a teaspoon of cumin. Ground cumin. There we go. And I think I'm going to add, I'll make a little deviation. I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder. Just to give it a little bit more color and a little bit more kick. And then we're going to add half a teaspoon of kosher salt. That looks good. Oops, pepper mill's empty. Have to use the one-handed one. And some fresh ground black pepper. And then to that, I'm going to add a cup of water. To make this richer, you probably could use a cup of chicken broth, but I don't have any chicken broth right now, so I'm just going to use water. And then we'll probably periodically have to add some more water as this cooks, because this is going to go on the smoker. Okay, we begin. I got the ribs, the Brontosaurus ribs on the smoker, as well as the beans. I put the beans up front so they'll get a lot more heat, because those beans have to be cooked thoroughly. So I'm just going to let this go and periodically check on it, and spritz the ribs occasionally with a mixture of apple juice and apple cider, and then I'll add more water to the beans if they seem to be drying out. Well, I'll come back later. Okay, need a vegetable component to go with the ribs and the beans. Pick through and throw these big chunks out. This is just a package of classic coleslaw. It's already shredded. It's already washed. It's ready to go. I use this stuff a lot. It's really great. I just like to pick out those big, humongous pieces. That's just me. You can leave them if you want. Okay, this couldn't be any simpler. We're going to add I'm going to add a half a cup of this Good Seasons zesty Italian dressing. I actually like this better than the mayonnaise based. I made this with apple cider vinegar and canola oil instead of olive oil and red wine vinegar. So I think it goes better with the coleslaw. Just pour it on. I like it because it's savory and zesty. And then just stir to combine. Okay, that's been 4 hours. I've came out here a couple times and spritzed the ribs and added some more water to the beans. Twice now. Beans are looking good and smelling good. Ribs are looking really good. Okay, Brontosaurus ribs are off the smoker, and they look good and they smell good. Just going to tin it with some foil for a few minutes. Let it rest. Get those juices back into the meat. Get the side dishes ready, and then we'll eat. Okay, let's cut off one of these ribs. Let's go with this one first. They were tender, very tasty. Look at that. Look at that meat. Tons of meat on these bones. Okay, let's get some sides together. We got those Ranchero beans that I made, and then the coleslaw. Then I decided I wanted to serve some macaroni and cheese with it, so there you go. Ballistic BBQ cook-off.